Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it has been several days since I have made a video over on this channel. Every day that I've been filming videos, I have planned to make a video over here. Even had some topics I wanted to talk about. Even had some meditations that I saw that I thought would be phenomenal to read. But the day would get away from me, and before I knew it, I would be going to somebody's house for dinner, or going to a meeting, or something like that, and then I'd be like, okay, it's too late. So, today's not the day. But today is the day. So I'm back over here making videos, and I was looking through comments because I wanted to do a video responding to one of the comments. There was a comment that I had read a couple days ago on my video, and I should have screenshot it. I don't know if the person deleted the comment, or I don't know why they would have. I mean, it was a question that they asked, and I thought it was a question that was applicable to so many people. So I'm going to go in and see if I don't know why I can't find it. So I'm going to try to find that question to do that video for tomorrow. But while I was looking through it, I was like looking through these questions, or while I was looking through the comments to see where it was, and couldn't find it, I came across a couple other questions that people asked me, and I got this question on here. And to a lot of people out there, I think that it's probably not something that we really think about, but when I read it, it's like not something that I think about today, but I can tell you that when I first got sober, it was something that I really thought about a lot. And as I was sitting here thinking about it, I was like, it's not just applicable to being sober. It can be like going through a breakup, or grieving the passing of a parent or a loved one or something like that as well. So I wanted to read this comment to you, or this question, because I think it's a good question. Somebody said, genuine question, how do you desensitize yourself from, for example, music? I have songs and I am like, cool, let's drink. How do you get past that? And I think it's a really good question. When I got sober, do you hear the plane going overhead? Where are you going? Where are you going? Take me with you, take me with you. When I got sober, let's let it go by just a little bit more. When I got sober, I had been going to a lot of concerts, and music has always been something that I love. I think you guys know that I talk about music on all my channels. I sing songs and things like that. Music's always had a lot of meaning to me. And in fact, I was talking the other day about how my mom didn't used to listen to certain music. Like, she listened to a lot of folk music, a lot of Bob Dylan, Judy Collins, Joni Mitchell, Led Zeppelin, things like that in her youth. I mean like her 20s and early 30s. And as she got older, I would say to her, you don't really listen to a lot of that music anymore. And and the music that she did start listening to was like reggae music, that she, like Bob Marley, that she had just been introduced to, or like Janet Jackson. She loved a lot of like the Janet Jackson, like dance music. She loved dance music. And I look at that and I think, wow, all the music that she was like in love with towards the end of her life, I mean, she still loved those songs, but she would say, Peter, that music makes me very sad. And I kind of wonder, and I don't really, I mean, I think we maybe had one conversation or two conversations about it, but I don't remember having like pointed conversations and talking about like the drinking being related to that music that she used to listen to in her youth, She would just say that music makes mom real sad, like I don't like listening to it. But it is interesting to me that all the music that she loved later in life when she was sober was like new music that she was introduced to, But anyway, when I first got sober, I can remember I made a friend. So I got sober December 17th of 1994, and that following summer I made a friend of mine that wasn't sober, but he didn't really drink. I actually became friends with him through another friend of mine, a friend that I had gone to elementary, junior high, high school, college, graduate school. I talked about her all the time in my vlog, or I used to talk about her a lot in my vlog. But he and I became friends, and he didn't drink and he didn't use drugs, and that was just kind of like a decision that he had made in his life, because he had a lot of addiction in his family. And so he and I hung out a lot. My nose is like itching like crazy. I think my allergy medicine is starting to wear off. But anyway, I was trying not to bring attention to it, but like, let me just itch it out. Okay. So anyway, and he was like a really good friend for me at that time, because he kept me very entertained, and we would go and do stuff and whatever. And even though he wasn't involved, in 12-step programs and things like that, he was very considerate and respectful of my recovery. And and asked me a lot of questions and things like that, and never drank or did anything around me, obviously, because he didn't, right? And he worked for a music store, which was like a bigger company, you know, at that time. And so he was like a manager, and he would get like free tickets to go see shows. And so he took me to go see like Dave Matthews Band. He took me to go see, I mean, so many concerts that summer, and concerts that I loved, right? And I think like, and I can remember also like that summer, I think it was that summer, somebody stopped me at the gas station, and I had, you know, I think I was dressed in like a Grateful Dead t-shirt or something like that, and they said like, do you like Fish? And I said, the band Fish, and I was like, yeah. And they said, I have really good like pavilion seats. This was at Deer Creek, and they were like, do you want these tickets? They're like comp tickets, and they said something about being like a realtor or something. I can't remember the story, but they were like, they had like 2 tickets, right? So I called him up, and he had taken me to all these shows, so I got to take him to a show, and we went and saw Fish. And you know what was amazing to me was that all of my experiences with going to concerts before that have been where I was either drunk or completely loaded or high or using all kinds of substances, right? And I started going, and none of that, and I was going with somebody that was safe for me, right? Like, and I would later go to do other things, you know, because they tell us in recovery, if you have a reason to be somewhere, like, if a band that you are like a fan of is playing in a bar, there's no reason for you to stay away from that bar. You're going for the band, right? They tell us that. Now, I don't know that I would recommend that, like, maybe in my first 2 to 3 months of sobriety, or, you know, for some people, 6 months to a year or whatever, but I mean, you have to make that decision. My sponsor always told me, A, you can leave whenever you want, and B, take a safe person with you, and I always did that. But, you know, like, it gave me a completely different perspective on listening to music. And what I realized by going to concerts was, oh my God, like, I really listened to the music, you know? It wasn't this, like, drugged out, drunk mess where I was getting drunk before, and how drunk can I get before I can get to the concert, that I'm drunk enough, but that I still get let into the concert. You know, I mean, it was like this whole, like, that was part of the being sick and tired of just, like, trying to, you know, keep up with it all the time. And then not remembering concerts and not remembering the shows. To me today, music, I would say, there were songs back in the day that, there were certain songs that would make me think about drinking. It wasn't so much music for me as it was movies. There were certain movies for me that really triggered drinking. And to be honest with you, some of them were drinking movies, where they were talking about, you know, recovery or things like, or addiction movies. But there were a lot of movies for me that and not necessarily just because there's a lot of drinking in them, but like because of my history associated to that. I can remember like watching Moonstruck a lot and drinking a lot of red wine in my bedroom at my dad's house. I think that was like when I was like, I don't even know when that movie came out, like late high school or something like that. I remember Out of Africa, drinking a lot Out of Africa. I can remember Basic Instinct. I went to the movie theater, and like my friend and I took vodka in there and poured it into our Sprite that we got at the concession stand and got just totally wasted. Basic Instinct. Basic Instinct was one of those movies that was really, really hard for me. There were a lot of movies, like I mean, movies that you would look at and be like, Peter, why, you know, did this? But then there were movies that like I watched later, like Dazed and Confused, which I think would have been movies that had I watched before I got sober would have been very triggering for me. I think I saw Dazed and Confused after I got sober, actually. And I loved to smoke pot back in the day. You know, that's why I'm so hardcore about it today. Because it was something that I never suffered any consequences from. It didn't cost me a lot of money, and I loved to smoke pot. And I was high a lot, you know? And that's just my truth. And if I started smoking pot again today, whether it's legal or not, I'd be smoking pot all day, every day. I'd be a total stoner, and I wouldn't get anything done. And so, like, but when I watch that movie, you know, about drinking and, you know, smoking weed and stuff like that, like, I see it in a different way today. I don't know if that makes sense, but there was a long time that I had to stop watching certain movies. The movie California, to me, with a K, I think it was with Brad Pitt and, oh, why can't I never think of her name? Oh, shoot. And the other movie with her, too, were Natural Born Killers. Like, both of those movies were very triggering for me with, like, drinking and using. I don't know why. But there were lots of movies for me. Movies were for me more than anything, you know? And, because I love to drink, smoke weed, drink, eat pills, and watch a movie. it was more the aligning of those two things together for me that I had to be careful of. So I don't know, like, you know, maybe not listen to some of that music for a while. For me, once you've been sober for a while, you know, once you've been sober for 2 or 3 years, and I don't know how long you've been sober for, but once you can stop listening to. If a song is that triggering to you that it's going to make you drink, okay, then that's not a song that you need to be listening to right now, okay? And if you're like, well, no, I need to listen to that song is not as important as your sobriety, okay? Nothing is. No movie, no book, no song, and quite frankly, no person is as important as my sobriety. That if they are that triggering to me, that I can't be away from that for 2 to 3 years, you know? But at 2 to 3 years or a year or whatever, I mean, some of that stuff hits differently, you know? Songs that used to make me just bawl my eyes out when my mom passed away. Bye Bye by Mariah Carey. I don't know why that song. The part where it talks about you never got to see me make it here or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. And I can remember like being with Alex and like hearing that song, like, and thinking like my mom never got to meet Alex, you know. Both Sides Now, or The Way We Were, you know, and all these different songs, you know, like really used to make me think about my mom a lot. Actually, the movie Once, I don't know if you guys know that movie about the two people that get together to do the song. It's a fantastic movie. It had won the Academy Award like the year or two before my mom passed away, and the song was that softly falling, doo, doo. I don't know the words, but anyway, my mom and I love that song. I could not hear that song without bawling my eyes out, you know. And so, and you know, and Alex put this whole video together when Pee Pee died, and it had Rufus Du Sol, Treat You Better, because that was one of our favorite songs, and it was a song that like Alex associated with Pee Pee. To this day, when I hear that song, it still brings tears to my eyes, you know. So if I'm going to listen to that song, I know it's going to have an emotional response to me, and that's what you're talking about. You're talking about an emotional response related to music or movies or whatever. Out of saving your sobriety, I would distance yourself from those things, you know. Whereas if you were grieving those things, I'd say allow yourself to feel your feelings. I don't know that I would risk it for your sobriety. It's just not worth it. A song is just not worth it. So I don't know that there's any desensitizing. I just think you'll get to a point where it's like the music doesn't have the effect on you, or a movie doesn't have the effect on you the same way. I mean, I can remember like when I first got sober, you know, like watching Basic Instinct or something like that, and I was like, no, I can't do this. And then like 3 years later, it like came on TV, and I was like, why do I have such an issue with it? So I don't think it's really desensitizing about it. I think it's about the foundation of your recovery getting stronger, and you can handle anything at a certain point, you know? And with the support network and your sponsor and going to meetings or whatever you're doing to stay sober, you are going to be able to handle more and more. And so it's not really necessarily desensitizing, it's building a strong support system in a foundation. So anyway, I hope that helped. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.